Get the word out and welcome to the Bonnet Chronicles. I am your host, Kalari GXC. Let's get all this stuff fired up. I was just looking at some multimedia stuff before we got started. I just want to thank everybody for bearing with me. I wanted to try to get the Bonnet Chronicles up and ready yesterday, but my mind and body just was not working with me. So I took a much needed break and rested with my family instead. So I thank you all for your patience. And since I am doing this on a non Tuesday day. I'm not expecting the chat to fill up, but if it does, great. If not, we're going to keep this podcast going and talk about the topics, starting with this nonsense. It was funny because Monday was already a weird day, and so was Tuesday. But to have the back and forth that Twitter gives is like a gift that keeps giving itself. And it's always weird yet fascinating to watch the opinions that go back and forth about people's personal lives, especially celebrities' personal lives. And I've always tried to be a champion of Team Mind My Business because I would never want my personal life out there like that. I know in the viral age, it's weird to be like me, but I was always raised to keep your home life and your front face separate things. And when you're a celebrity, you can't do that. Especially when you're a celebrity as big of a douche nozzle as Adam Levine. Now, it's weird because there are some Maroon 5 songs that I can tolerate. Working in an office, especially, you constantly heard at least one or two of their songs, and you just like that Sunday morning song got run on Light FM so much it was annoying. You just get used to it. And I don't think Adam Levine is a bad singer, but he is definitely a bad person. He's a typical, I'm a rock star, I'm going to do what I want, I go by my libido. And now he gets to deny that he did anything but send inappropriate text. But, sir, we seen your text to that 19-year-old Instagram model asking to name the current baby you're having with your wife after them, and it needs to stop. I ran it by my partner jokingly. What would you do if I decided to have a child with you, but name it after somebody I cheated on you with, even if they put it on me? And needless to say, my partner wasn't down for that, and I don't think anybody's partner should. And Adam Levine is married to a beautiful woman, a Victoria's Secret model, from what I've heard, which none of that matters. He could be married to a couch cushion, and it wouldn't matter. You don't cheat on your spouse. And in the day and age where everything's viral, everything's about clout, everything's about attention, for you to do something so visibly stupid, so easily drop receipts is beyond me. But the argument that I want to pick apart, because I watched it back and forth, was the girl should have known better. A quick Google search. And I'm not saying that I'm on the side of side chicks because as somebody who had to deal with a philandering ex who had his side chick try to say I was the reason why they weren't together and jumped in my I was pregnant at the time. And it was just a shock to me that she thought I was the reason why they couldn't be together. And when I threw out a bag and told her to take him, that really jammed up their little whatever that was. I'm not down for that kind of drama. But the whole idea that, oh, let's crap on this 19-year-old girl without understanding the power dynamics of somebody who's damn near 50 predatorizing on you, then the allure of fame. And I'm sorry. While I don't understand cheating mentality because I just don't have it in me. I don't like people on that level, but I'm a very antisocial person. Welcome to the chat beans, and yes, he is. I do understand how predatory people can get in your head. My ex was a groomer. He was a good damn near almost 20 years older than me. Older men look for younger women. It's a power dynamic. He probably hit her up, flirted with her, gave her gifts, got her comfortable with the idea of just talking, and then slipped it in. We don't know. And maybe she could be one of them predatory chicks because I like to remind people that there are some girls early on that understand their sexual desires, their viability and who they want to go after. I looked at Monica Lewinsky when I thought about that because so many people wanted to try to treat her like she was a child in her fucking 20s when she knew what she wanted, she knew what she was going after. So I understand those who are upset with this 19-year-old girl, but I also understand that Adam Levine, who is the married person, for me, is the most responsible in this debacle. And he was the one texting her, can I name my unborn child after you? So, yeah, this whole situation is a disgusting mess, but I am so tired of the easy trap of blame the woman in this situation. And thank you for the resubscribe, Beans. I appreciate it. 6 months. I feel like so many people want to just blame the woman in this situation because we are like the easy punching bags in any situation. And the only person I feel sorry for in this situation is A, Adam Levine's wife, who is humiliated, and B, this unborn child who has to deal with drama and not even out in this world yet. It is so ridiculous that people don't think about the person who suffers the most. And Adam is just trash for doing this. A, keep it in your fucking pants. There's no reason. You don't need that fucking validation. You are literally a fucking singing star. You're on TV. People fucking admire you. Why do you need to get more validation by cheating on your spouse? I don't understand that. And during a vulnerable time, with her being pregnant too, I don't understand men who do that. I don't understand women who do that too because I know cheating is it's not just a male thing. That was being thrown around a lot too, and I need you to understand that cheating stems from insecurity. It stems from a breakdown in communication and a lack of respect for your partner. And if that is where you are, you don't need to be in that relationship because you're only going to hurt the person you claim to care about. And this whole thing, I made jokes and stuff, but watching people try to blame the 19-year-old so-called mistress like she bears a large brunt of it, no. I can't ascribe to that because of the power dynamics that comes with having somebody that much older, that much famous chasing you. So many of us want to act like if we got that kind of attention, we'd be prudes about it. But mm-mm. Let's be real about the situation. If somebody that famous, even though I don't find Adam Levine particularly attractive, I'm sure the feeling's mutual on his end. I don't see the appeal for me. He just looks like the typical scruffy white guy. And I say this as somebody who dates a white man. It's just not for me. But even if that wasn't the case, I feel like there are people that don't understand that the need to emotionally or physically cheat stems from a place of unhappiness. When I realized that I was at the end with the relationship that I was in before I started dating Axiom Wolf, any attention was better than what I was getting at home. And that is a bad sign. And I think a lot of people think I'm a little more closed off now that I'm in a stable relationship, but it's just I don't need to reach out. I don't need that extra attention from other people because I get that with my partner. We are a stable relationship. And when you have that, you're not worried about DMs or slipping in and flirting with somebody. I don't flirt. I think people find that weird about me, but because I'm a sociopath, because I don't it's awkward for me to even really talk to people on that level. I do not flirt. I know that for some, it comes across as kind of a coldness, and I'm sorry. But those who are used to me, like Axiom Wolf, think it's cute. And I feel like when you're with somebody that understands you, that partnership is so much easier to deal with, especially when you have mental health issues, than it is to date somebody that doesn't understand you, that you got to put a front on for. And exactly, it's really hard too. Because I sometimes people flirt and it goes right through me. I do not, it doesn't connect because I'm not thinking on that level. So it just it's nice when you do find somebody that you want to be with. And when it's stable, you're not looking for any other attention or ways out. And I'm sorry to say for Adam Levine's wife, this man is insecure and looking for attention. And I don't know if you're ever going to be enough to give that to them. And I hope that they work it out. I hope that their business stops being put out there. But I know that we are literally in the viral age, so that is not going to be a thing. And like I said, I made my jokes because I thought it was ridiculously insulting to even have those kind of receipts out there. I feel so bad for his wife. But who I don't feel bad for is this shit stain. We need to stop elevating men like this because they are nothing but garbage. But moving on to politics, because that was what I wanted Tuesday's focus to be on. And with the midterms about to come up, there is so much on the horizon. But what really has annoyed me in the GA race is these tropes. I'm sure y'all saw the video of Herschel Walker explaining why he doesn't want to be embarrassed by Reverend Warnock in debates and playing that I'm just a dumb black man trope surrounded by white men, and they don't understand the optics of it. They just don't. They're playing to a certain level of people, certain level of white people, especially in the South, who want to believe that black people are still less intelligent than them, less than them, just humble, dumb Negro who will do what they'll say, but it's insulting at this point. And if you replace Reverend Warnock with this Muppet, this just mediocre Muppet, I don't give a fuck about how great he was on the field. I am not here to argue or debate you for your love of his football playing. That does not translate to fucking politics, and you know it. And I have watched the South make this mistake, so I can't sleep on this. Because I know that you will replace competence like Doug Jones with a fucking cartoon character like Tommy Tuberville if we sleep on this. So I can't not take this seriously because Herschel Walker put out there that he is not a smart man. You have watched this man talk. You have seen him yell at trees. And yet I still fear that the people of GA will make the mistake of allowing this literal walking meatbag to be in our Congress, and we cannot sleep on this. I say this as a walker. I have no ill will towards Herschel Walker's suffering as a human being. I think CTE is a very serious thing. But why is he running for public office? It is embarrassing. And he plays that dumb Negro trope way too eagerly. Are the papers that good, Herschel? Are you making that much bag to throw us under a bus as a people? It's infuriating. And to see, and he was surrounded by his handlers, beings. That's the kids thing drove me nuts too, because he was all big, came out swinging about take care of your kids and the traditional family, and his son Christian, who is a whole ass mess, who loves to make TikToks about traditional things and is very clearly LGBT, but doesn't want us to talk about how he's clearly LGBT because it conflicts with the right-wing rhetoric that he supposedly believes in. Anything for attention to both of them. When you think about what this man should be doing in his twilight years, and the fact that these people think that this is a viable candidate against Reverend Warnock because the GOP think, well, we can put a black face on it and try to seem like we're for diversity. But that black face has to play up the tropes we think about black people. That's a problem. Because you literally have Reverend Warnock who wants to do right by Georgia, who have been doing right by Georgia, versus this man who has questionable allegations against him for physical violence against women, who has absolutely no idea where he is most of the time, and you want to potentially send him into the halls of Congress for what? I don't understand what the conservatives are doing at this point, but I do understand that this man should not represent Georgia. And it is infuriating that he's even still a viable candidate. And I don't buy in the polls because I like to remind you that there is a coordinated effort by our media to make things seem like they are versus the reality of the situation. We showed you in Alaska. We keep getting wins for the Democrats. But we continue to allow this loud, noisy thing about polls and stuff. They don't poll us. I don't get any kind of political polls shot my way. I don't know whether it's because they know my black ass is already leaning certain ways. I've filled out my census. They know where I'm at. But I've yet to receive a poll for my political things. And that I just figured that's the way it is. So when I see people go, well, the polls in Georgia or the polls in Texas, who the fuck cares? What matters is how many of you turn out to the ballot. And if you're letting the poll numbers depress your vote, you're a part of the problem. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. I don't give a fuck what the media says anymore. We have already seen that the media is legitimately working against our democracy. I don't know whether they think pro-fascism sells more books, but we got to work around this shenanigans. And I'm sick and tired of the constant for clout type tweets out there that, oh, I can't, what's going on with Georgia? Why is Abbott so popular? Abbott's already a sitting politician. Whether we like it or not, he got there through support. So, of course, he's still going to have supporters. And instead of trying to berate those fools because they're not easily swayed, we need to work on the people who have yet to get to the ballot, who still wonder if it's worth it. Yes, it is. Because I need to remind you of the other side, of the people that are literally roaming around our country right now with pro-Nazi symbols, going to rallies for the GOP with fucking flags like this. Welcome to the chat, Terry Antico. It is infuriating to me in this day and age, as a granddaughter of somebody who literally went to fight Nazis, to see this kind of shit freely flowing on American soil. But if you're watching the Ken Burns documentary, which is another nice thing that's been running around Twitter, you know this shouldn't be a surprise to you because the Nazis learned a lot of their nonsense from American nonsense. And it's sad that people didn't understand that whole America first, the way they treated black and indigenous people, spurred other dictatorships to copy us. And that is why it doesn't shock me to see white people with Nazi flags. It's just annoying that they feel bold enough to do that in 2020 fucking 2. And that is what we are up against. And it's like I said earlier today, because I don't want this nonsense on my feed too long. We're going to go to just the camera. And I think people need to understand that I understand the fear. So many people that I follow are knowledgeable people. They understand both social issues, they understand economic issues, but they have been chiming the same things over and over, and it feels like they're trying to give in to defeatism. So I got frustrated this morning on Twitter because I'm tired of seeing only the negative. I get that things could be bad, but they aren't. We literally have a president and vice president that are doing their damnedest. They stopped the railroad crisis. They have been putting out fires left, right, here, there, and abroad. They are navigating both Putin's war, deaths of monarchs, and still trying to hold together a selfish, entitled nation through COVID times and everything else. It is not a perfect system, but our democracy needs to stay where it is if we are going to get anywhere in this country. And unfortunately, the other side is full on pro-fascism. So we can't afford to sleep on this. And when I see how bold they're being with it, freaking Nazi salutes at rallies for non-Trump appointees even. The GOP cannot get rid of that stench at all. And they can't act like they're innocent of this. They are saying the parts that we who are black were always hearing very loudly. They cannot control it because they are the ones that taught that hate, that indoctrinated their base to believe that that hate was acceptable. So if this is not you, you shouldn't be feeling targeted right now if it's not you. But there are a lot of in-betweeners that have been very loud, very not allish. And if you got all that energy to not all to a black person or indigenous person or any POC who is expressing our frustration with the level of comfortable Nazism going on American soil, you need to stop. If you're talking reverse racism at this point, you need to stop. If you are not doing your part to make sure that you know who represents you in Congress and the Senate, and they have a leaning towards helping people no matter who they are or what they look like, you need to stop bothering me. Because you and I are not on the same side. I don't care if you got a blue wave emoji, and I definitely don't want to hear you if you're a white person with BLM in your bio, because you are always problematic. You are always trying to find ways of being the oppressor and the oppressed, and I don't have time for you. And right now, white women, we should be forming a coalition to protect ourselves from our own dehumanization, protect ourselves from being forced incubators. And yet, instead, we have to worry if 53% of you are going to stab us in the back again and push us towards a full ass. Oh, I hate using the handmaiden's tale, but I feel like that's what you want. Because some of you have it in your head that you can survive it or that you'll be part of the elite and not just be the broodmares. And we cannot risk your fuckery. Black women have survived so much of the shit that Margaret Atwood and other white women who want to fantasize about what that life's about have written in fantasy. We have been forcibly bred. We have had our babies ripped from us. We have lived a life of fucking enslaved existence. And I don't want that redone legally. And it is on us next month to turn out in ways that they cannot cheat against, in ways they cannot contest, so that they know that our wombs are no longer up for debate. You cannot dictate our humanity and our body autometry. But I can understand why people don't trust a certain demographic who talk about them messaging still, when the message has always been clear. You're either pro compassion or you're for chaos. You're either anti-fascist or full-on fascism at this point. The battle lines have been drawn since 2015. When that motherfucker descended the staircase, when he mocked a disabled reporter, when he said he grabs women by the pussy, and you still didn't turn out in ways that should have shown him that we didn't want him as president. We cannot afford to rest lightly, but we cannot trust some of y'all to have our backs. And that is on you. You can't blame black women when you have shown us time and time again that you'll fall in line for this fuckery because you think you'll be all right. And then when you lose your rights, it's like, I didn't think bad stuff was going to happen to me. What about me? And sadly, black women, we are going to have to take this need to center that some of our white sister girls have and utilize it in a way to make them see that, yes, you don't want bad things to happen to you. So, yes, use that power that you have to uplift us all, because in a society where we're equal, you don't have to worry about stuff like that. I can't believe in this day and age I have to say it like that. But you would be surprised, and you shouldn't, at how many women are literally being indoctrinated to believe that it's okay if you're less than. You don't want to worry your pretty little head about that. Just lay back, have a bunch of kids young, raise them to believe the same things we have. Don't have that like, oh, you're dissatisfied, you're angry, you got to snap at anybody because you didn't fulfill whatever life goals you had because you had to be less than so that you can be a partner. So now we have you on TikTok being openly angry and racist because your life isn't what it should be. Because you literally spent your life being told you were less than, making yourself less than, as it made you angry and bitter. That's the reality of all those Karens that people want to make fun of. These are just women that literally had no choice and have been trapped in this mindset of being less than, just being the side piece to some male that treats them like shit. So the only sense of power they have is taking it out on somebody outside the house. And it's gross. And I wish they didn't have to be like that. And I don't feel much sympathy for them because they still wield that bullshit like it's power to them. But that is the reality of this unbalanced society that we really have to tackle if we're going to get anywhere. And I want us to get to a better place. But I'm not going to act like it's not going to be without a fight. But what I am tired of seeing is that defeatist mentality. I'm tired of people acting like the sky is constantly falling. I'm tired of people acting like when we don't put our minds to something, that we don't get it done. We literally watched Joe Biden and Kamala Harris sworn in. That was us. We did that shit, and we can go beyond. We can get Texas. I know Texas is winnable. I don't give a fuck what the poll says. Beto is better. We know it. We have watched what Abbott has done. He's fucking shipping migrants like they're human cargo. Just dropping them off in so-called sanctuary states when you know there's no such thing. That fucking term in itself is so misleading. We had a woman kill herself because of the stress of everything, because their little shuffle, their little human shuffle game fucks people up. I don't think people understand this about immigration because most of us don't have to think about it if we live here. But I helped my neighbor's family a few years back get their grandmother over here. And the amount of paperwork, the amount of money they had to spend, the amount of back and forth just to get a 79-year-old grandmother over here was a lot of work. And I did my part helping them translate things, helping them fill out things, doing my best to read stuff to them and break it down. But it was a lot. And then when we finally get her over here and Numbnuts gets elected as president, guess who gets rounded up for being a Muslim? It was a fucking nightmare. When I think about what migrant people who come over here looking for opportunities, trying to do things the legal way, being rounded up by governors who should know better, who should have at least a decent amount of compassion, because you are literally being a leader of people and they have none. You have jackals and ghouls like Abbott and DeSantis literally just ruining these people's lives for a political stunt. And I'm sick of it. But what they don't understand is what they are doing is literally human trafficking. And I don't want to hear from some flag emojis, oh, it's not for profit. It doesn't matter. When you fuck around with paperwork like the USIS and you fudge things like what's being said in these investigations, you are going to find out that that's illegal. And I am looking forward to seeing these two idiots pay for messing with these people's lives. So-called Christians who treat people like they're less than. I'm just so sick of the hypocrisy. I'm sick of people treating those that don't look like them or don't live in the same area or speak the same language as them as ill. When, bitch, ill to you. You barely know English. You're ignorant. And your only saving grace to you is the fact that you don't have pigment. Stop it. I am fucking sick of this. I don't know how our world molded itself into this weird white narrative, but we are all human beings. We all deserve to be here. And I am fucking sick and tired of playing these games. And the only way we are going to tackle this is not by defeatism, not by saying, see, it's bad. They're armed. They're fascists. They're going to kill us all. But by fighting back smartly. I know we're not going to get rid of all the guns. I'm wise enough to understand that even if we have the legal measures, there are always going to be those sects of people. I'm related to those sects of people that will always have what they need to have no matter what, because they don't always do things on the up and up. It's the reality of the situation, but we make it harder for them. We also educate ourselves to where those supposed illusions of power are unnecessary. The only way we are going to get out of this is to be a smarter society, to be a more accepting, embracing of humanity society and of our differences. That's what scares the other side. And when you're in the death throes of anything, as my friend Portia put it, they are the most dangerous right now because they know the world is tired of them. They're asking, why are we still listening to these clowns? They're arguing over the skin color of a fucking fictional character. Everything's the sky is falling, yet we're the snowflakes. Why are we still doing puff pieces about their feelings? Who cares? All we have to do is stop giving them the attention that they need without taking the full attention off, because I'm not that stupid. I know what happens when they think they're not being watched fully. They organize fucking hate raids and try to kidnap governors. It is a mess. But we are not going to just undo centuries of white indoctrination. That is not realistic. All we can do is appeal to those who see it for the bad it is and work together to make less of them. COVID's already done enough of a number on them because we couldn't tell them the mask. Some of them still don't trust the vaccine. They're fucking weirdos. But for those that are still around, they're armed, they're dumb, they're dangerous, and they can still legally cause us trouble. And that is where we get them. By electing people that make it harder for them to legally cause us damage. And I know it feels insurmountable, but if you have survived as Black, POC, Jewish, Muslim, we have dealt with insurmountable feeling odds all of our existence. Join us and let's make the ground more even for all of us so that we can stop feeling like life is a trudge and then navigate and trying not to die. Let's make it where a woman doesn't have to fucking worry about where she lives and being safe constantly, because we're no longer viewed as just fuckable meat bags and objects. I know we can get there, but there are way too many people who are still loud and wrong and trying to steer us towards this weird obedience towards patriarchal fuckery. And I know that they are in their death throes. So I need those of you who understand that to just do your part. Most of that is just bare minimum political investment. Knowing who represents you, making sure that person is not conservative right now, because most of the people who are still very visibly Republican, and I'm not saying like Mitch McConnell, because I'm going to get to that in a moment. There's some real soap opera like shit going on with the GOP. It is insane to me. But visible people like Tudor Dixon here, which the name alone makes me go, her parents really didn't love her, because good Lord. But she, and like every other conservative, have been on the pro anti-abortion kick. That is their swan song. Take women's rights to choose away because it's for the children. Who cares if that ectopic pregnancy kills you? Who cares if you're an underage child that is a victim of rape or incest? Forcing you to take care of that baby might teach you to be closer to God. This is the wackadoo bullshit that she has said. There is interviews. I am very shocked that she says shit like that, but I'm not surprised, because they have been indoctrinated to believe that making women feel less than gives them power. And even women that are fully indoctrinated by this bullshit will push this shit and don't care. They don't care how medically dangerous stuff they're pushing is. They swear they're right, and that is all they care about, and being right is all they want to tout, even if they're whole ass wrong. So it really is on us who see it, especially those of us who are pragmatic, who understand that they benefit no matter what. Having a strong governor, we have watched these yahoos benefit so much that they felt bold enough to try to plot a kidnapping, killing of her. But the reality is, even in a decent America, there's going to be non-decent people, and I want a decent America. I want a democratic-led America, and I want democracy to prevail, because the other side isn't good. that weirdo pseudo-fascist socialism that some people want us to fall into because they think it'll benefit them but screw anybody else. That progress for me but not for these side, not interested. And I definitely don't want to deal with the other side because no. Because the only black people that they tried out, the people my complexion and darker, are people like Herschel Walker, who they know. They know shouldn't be running for something. But that's the kind of Negro they think we all are. It's a mess. And I thought that loving history, understanding the dark ages, that I understood the human condition, nothing prepared me for the amount of selfish, entitled stuff that's fully documented because you use TikTok, your idiocy. You get on YouTube and document your selfishness and idiocy. And like I just showed you, people are literally openly in 2022 walking around with Nazi flags. I do believe that we are currently in humanity's dark ages. We had a dark age back in the day before there was real documented history. This is our dark age, and it is all digital, and it is all on record. And I am looking forward to a future humanity that looks back on this day and age and goes, wow, I can't imagine a life like that. What is going on? The horrors that they subjected themselves through for such superficial reasons, instead of just living together and growing and prospering, they found ways to harm each other and argue over resources, and it's just a mess. And as somebody who thinks on the level of fantastical, because I write, it always floors me that people want to talk about potential what is that term, things like fallout and stuff like that, that post-apocalyptic shit, because they're literally trying to drive us into apocalypse. There are literal fanatical cult-like groups, dominionists and shit like that, that really think that their duty is to destroy all of us and usher in a paradise. So I do not act like the people who are fearful don't have their reasons. And welcome to the chat, Princess Pony. But I do feel like these people don't have the power that they think they do, because there are a lot more of us that see their bullshit for what it is. But we have to be wary of their power grabs. We have to be wary when they open up schools. We have to be wary when they run for things like our school boards, when they run for things like our state and local reps. Because once they get in, it is very hard for us to undo the damage that they're doing. I'm looking at Virginia now with Youngkin's bullshit, trying to ease in anti-transgender laws. And it's like, what the? You are literally supposed to lead the whole entire state. Every single constituent should be a concern to you, and not just a negative concern. McCrory made that mistake in North Carolina, and he paid for it with his loss of a governor's seat. But Youngkin seems to think he's untouchable. And we have to stop allowing their embrace of bigotry to be the narrative in our states. The South is a beautifully diverse area. And I know some people think, oh, these people are just slow and stupid. No. But unfortunately, the strategically smart seem to lean towards cruelty right now. We need to stop letting those cats have power. Assholes like Abbott should have never been. Assholes like Kemp literally cheated. How the fuck are you Secretary of State running for governor and not recusing yourself? Those are the antics he thinks is going to keep him running Georgia into the ground, and we need to stop him. Stacey Abrams would be great for Georgia and beyond. But these men have played these games of shenanigans so long, they think they're untouchable, and we have to be the ones to show them that that's not the case. I feel like it's real easy to feel defeated, but we have had so many good things happen these last few weeks. We have watched historical appointments. We have watched Deb Haaland, our first Native American Secretary of the Interior, changing names and kicking ass. We have seen so many actions that will help both on the home front and the broad with the environment. And I know there are people, oh, it's not enough. It's not fast enough. It's not. It's only been 2 years. And 2 years working with absolutely nothing from an administration that was completely treasonous and full on espionage. Excuse me. But if I went into a house that was completely wrecked and had to clean it from top to bottom, it's going to take me a long time because I want to get it done thoroughly. And Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are thoroughly trying to clean up the mess of 45. So, yes, it's only been 2 years. And yes, we are not getting everything we need right now because, need I remind you, our Senate is still a 50-50 split. And I'm being generous calling it that much. And while some of you want to bitch about Mansion and cinema, if we would do our part and get more people who will work with this administration, Mansion and cinema wouldn't have half the power that they currently supposedly wield. And that should scare them, not us. It is on us. I no longer believe that there's such thing as an unwinnable state. But I do believe that there are a lot of Whew. Talking for an hour sometimes drives me out. I do believe that there are a lot of contrarians that want you to believe that there's nothing we can do. That mindset is so easy. It's the lowest hanging fruit, and yet it catches so many people. I didn't feel like voting. It won't matter. It's just the midterms. I lost my rights. All conservative Congress put in a Supreme Court person for a lifetime appointment that wants to restrict my rights. I didn't see it. I ignored all the other people telling me this was going to happen, and then it happened. All of this was preventable. And it really is on us to do our bare minimum. And then I seen that argument for disabled people. And I know most people know that because of my mental health problems, I call myself a disabled American. Oh, thank you, honey.
You're welcome.
You're so sweet.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. But I know that for some people, disability is a spectrum. Some people think that you should only call yourself disabled if you're physically. It's a lot of bullshit. And I'm just going to say that I qualify and have lived as a disabled American for years now. It's not shameful. It's a reality for a lot of us. So when I found out that I could get on an absentee ballot here in Michigan, that's what I did because I planned to vote. But I also have to deal with straight up paranoia because I've lost people to COVID. Even boosted 3 times, there's still that risk that I don't need right now because I have other health issues. I don't want to deal with it, and I want to make sure I vote because I know my voice matters. I know there's some that feel, especially in the disabled community, that it doesn't matter, that they're not making things easier or accessible for us, and I get your argument. And give me just a moment. But what the heck do you think you're going to get by doing nothing? What do you think you're going to get by holding your vote? I said this to the LGBT a few weeks back, and it's the same premise. You will not get anything from nothing. And I get it. In most regimes, especially if we went full fascism again, we are definitely at the bottom of the pile as disabled Americans. We are the most disposable commodity, and I hate that. I hate that when people see somebody in a wheelchair, they feel like, oh, that person's a burden. Oh, I got to move them out of their way. I hate that people have the nerve to question somebody when they park in a handicapped spot because they don't look disabled enough. I cannot stand that we live in a society still that disability is still treated like a burden. That's a reality that I hate. But I want to see change, but we have to change it by being invested. And I was following somebody who I thought was a decent voice for disability until they started pulling that hold your vote bullshit and arguing with us Democrats because they can't see past being right. And I'm sorry. But if you're working supposedly to advocate for marginalized people and causes, and you don't understand the power of having people who represent you in politics and voting for those people and making sure that the people who are in office see and hear us, you're an idiot. There's no other way to put it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And you do nothing to help our cause. I am sick and tired of do something that do nothing when it comes to political investment and think that just being loud on Twitter or TikTok is enough. How you want things better for people who are disabled? That takes legislation. You want legislation, you need to get legislators who see us as human beings. And you know how you get that? You got to elect them. You got to vote for them. And yes, I would love for more ease of access. The fact that I'm even on the permanent absentee ballot, I'm lucky because there are still plenty of states that don't have that yet. And you know how we get that? By electing officials that want that. I know it feels like, well, that's not fair. Life ain't fair. I grew up black, so I don't understand that whole that's not fair. That's just life. When you want something bad enough and you push for it, it happens. But too many people don't want to do that footwork. Too many people don't want to put in that sweat equity, but they want to bitch and complain about everything. They just want everything to fall into place, but they don't want to put in the effort to make sure and ensure that happens. And that is not how life works. And what troubles me is how convincing these so-called advocates are. They use their voice and their platform to rally people towards apathy, and then they wonder why we don't get anywhere. How the fuck are you talking about how you're a voice for people on disability? You're a voice for the disabled, yet you do nothing to spread political awareness for our people. You're not doing drives to make ease of access voting. You're not doing things to make sure that people know of ways that they can vote safely from home, looking for polling places that have handicap access. You're not a disability advocate as far as I'm concerned at this point. And if you feel called out by me, that's a you problem at this point. I am so sick and tired of people calling themselves things, yet when you look and shine the spotlight on the so-called advocacy they're doing, all it is a bunch of contrarian bullshit of what is somebody else doing? We need to pressure this person. I don't need to vote. I'm going to withhold my vote. Sir or ma'am, you're not an advocate. You're just contrarian at this point. You're just loud, wrong, and a waste of space. And you need to get out of our way because you're not helping any of us. I want it where a society of humanity is not devalued by supposed body or mental issues. But we ain't going to get there by those types that think, well, I don't want to have to think or deal with stuff. I just want somebody else to do it. And if things don't go my way, I just want to be able to bitch about it with no consequence. And as somebody who's been voting consistently since 95, since I was 18 years old, I've had plenty of right to complain about when things don't go right, but I realize that it's a waste of energy. I've had losses that shouldn't have lost, and I've had wins that sometimes didn't always feel like a great win, but I take what I can because any inch that gets us towards equality is better than nothing. I am not an all or nothing type because I've never had that life. I am full on believing that we are moving towards a better humanity, but we are literally in the dark ages. The only way we're going to see that light and see our way out of it is to keep moving forward and making things better no matter who benefits from it. Unfortunately, we are up against some really selfish, self-entitled people who they just want to be right. And like I said, I don't want to downplay people's plight because a lot of times these people have dealt with pain, humiliation. They've had to deal with a society that wants to treat them like a burden, and that puts a chip on your shoulder. I full on understand that. And I do not blame you for feeling a certain way about how society treats you. But when you turn that into supposed advocacy, but you're not moving the needle, you're not getting votes out, you're not getting people in that will see us as viable human beings, what's the point? You're just being loud. And if you're just in it to fund your bank account, do you, but don't come my way, because I can't amplify that noise. There are enough people that are really doing advocacy work that I could be amplifying instead. And it pains me when I have to unfollow, mute, or block somebody that I thought were on the same page. And then as you watch them continuously bash this administration, continuously act like voting is like something that they can hold as ransom. I can't do it. It is dangerously close to next month's midterms. And we need all hands on deck, because women's rights, the rights of the LGBTQ, disability rights, the rights to exist are on the line. You don't need a deeper message than that. You don't need anybody else to explain it to you simpler than that. When you politically invest yourself, the rewards are who's your reflection. We have seen that the conservative reflection is cruelty, is shipping people like they're just toy cargo off, is treating anybody that doesn't look, worship, or act like you as if they're pariahs or something to fear, arming yourself up, shooting yourself up, not masking up, and letting a preventable pandemic devastate you. That is what the other side rallies to. So if that is not you, and you want stability, you want a neighborhood that's safe, you want education, you want that sense of purpose, invest yourself politically. Don't let some supposed internet poll or some Fox News driven bullshit stop you from having your voice. And then I've seen a lot of people wanting to talk about voter suppression. That's a real issue. I'm not going to downplay the effects of having to stand in line for hours on end, having the state literally try to work against you, shutting down polling places, enacting laws that make it harder for Black and brown and indigenous people especially to vote safely. But that leaves a big ass demographic shift of people who aren't targeted, people who could go to their polling place undaunted, who leave us high and dry. Y'all want to talk about voter suppression, but you aren't doing your part to make that less of an issue. So don't bring that up to me, because my ass has dealt with voter suppression. We move around it. Black women have maneuvered around your tactics for years now. We will continue to turn out to vote, but we cannot do it alone. And we are a month away, less than a month away, actually. November 8th will be here before we know it. And I am being optimistically cautious that the needle has been moved with this ridiculous Dobbs repeal, that the needle has been moved with the January 6th stuff, that people are just tired of the bullshit, that the conservative net caught all they could, and that the rest of us are just like, no, there's nothing over there for us. We're tired of the hate. We've seen how it ages you. We've seen the other side for what it is, and we just want better. We want that equality. We want safety in our neighborhood. We want our kids to go to school and not have the anxiety of, are they going to come back alive? We want it where 18-year-olds are busy pathing out their life, whether they want to be a fucking streamer and play video games, or whether they want to travel the world and help people. But we want to raise less of them angry and disaffected and wanting to shoot everybody up. Because that is the current America, and it's fucking exhausting. So if you are with me, I hope that you have your plan for next month. I hope you are ready to cast that ballot. I hope you know who's representing you, because whoever it is your voice. I am good with Governor Whitmer. She is a strong voice for Michigan. I am great with Senator Sabb now. She's another one whose office I reach out to often. These are my reps. Know who your representatives are. Reach out to them. Make sure that they reach out to you. That is their job. They are our voices. And when you have somebody that doesn't represent you in office and enough of you get together, you can change that. But too many people They don't feel like they can. You get trapped in that defeatist mindset because the other side does feel heavy. I didn't think I was ever going to see a day and age where people felt bold enough to wear Nazi uniforms and fly those flags. But I also grew up where people literally hung Confederate flags and statues of former slave owners and named schools after them. So I shouldn't be shocked by it, but I'm fucking exhausted of all of it, and I know that I'm not alone. So we need to work together to make these death throes, this last vestige of bigotry, it. And I know we can do it. I know it feels exhausting. And that's why I wanted to appeal to people. We have our sides, and I hate trying to make it seem like it's that nuanced, that easy, but the battle lines have been drawn for so long that it kind of chafes me that people want to try to find a gray area. Well, what if? There's a lot of what ifs, but at this point you have to understand that you are either fighting for fascism or against it. There's no in-betweens anymore. There's no nuances. There's no benign bigotry. We have to stop allowing the unacceptable to have such a strong narrative within our society. If we are going to tackle any of these ills that have been poisoning us far too long, any of these ills that we want to keep on the down low. These men have been leading us into bullshit for far too long, and it is time for not just a change, but for a full-on reset of our mentality and our society, and I know we can get there. I know we are getting there because they're fighting so hard against us. They're attacking our schools, they're attacking our education because they want us dumb. The dumb are easier to control than the educated. And that's why I stay on people to continue to learn. Use those devices for more than just arguing with people on Twitter. Research and understand that just because you research something online doesn't make you an expert. Don't argue with the people who literally made that their lives and got the PhDs for it either, because that's been embarrassing too. Some of you have been on some real bullshit. You read some Wikipedia article and now you think you can argue with people who've literally studied this shit all their lives. Stop it. A truly educated person understands they don't know everything. They're still learning, and that they can learn from other people. They are not infallible and not immovable. One of the things I had to really accept about myself is I am willing to learn. It's humbling when I get things wrong. I don't like being embarrassed, but I would rather know than to continue to put something out there that isn't right. But some of you take that embarrassment and you go to extreme measures to never feel it again, and you can't live life like that. If you're that rigid, you're gonna break. Be flexible with your education. Understand that we are all on a cosmic scale, always going to be learning and student mode, because no one is omnipotent. None of us know everything. And even the smartest of humans are still studying stuff. There's still branches of life and knowledge that they don't understand or know. That's the puzzle piece that so many of us are constantly trying to unlock. And I want you to focus on that. Find that puzzle piece that you're trying to unlock, work on it, and make yourself a better person. Because that's how we get a better society, honestly speaking. And I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. I wanted to show this off before I do, though. We got the new cover, and I will be sending so many of these out signed to people. So many of you have been helping with the campaign, and I thank you so much. My friend and Greg introduced us, and I just claimed him as a friend. But Roger amazing writer. He does work for Marvel. He is an amazing artist. He did the original cover, which I have here. This was one of the sketches he had sent me at the BHM that I utilized to keep finishing the story. And then he was like, look, I'm glad you like my work. Let me give you something else. Let me give you something that popped. And he made this. And I am so excited to be getting these new books out to people. I love the Darwin quote because it fits the story so much. And I've been reading the reviews. So many of you have been so amazing. But we had impartial reviewer give a 4-star, which I'll take it. And his only caveat was that he thought I wrote with a speaker type. I didn't. I just make typos. I'm human. And I didn't have a real editor left because my editor got sick. So I finished the work myself. But he said that he liked the story because it got to the point. It didn't have a lot of fat to have to get around, and he liked the pacing, and I'm happy about that. And I hope to have not just reviews but more people wanting to talk to me about the characters, about the world. I'm working on the follow-up story for this because I feel like I can develop a fitting follow-up story for these characters. But I am excited about the future, y'all, and I am so thankful to everybody who's been helping out. The campaign that we started on Kickstarter didn't fully go through. It was a long shot, honestly speaking, and Kickstarter posed a lot of problems for people, so we moved it over to PayPal, and you've been banging it out in the water with your help, and I appreciate all of you. And I want you to know that all donations go to getting people books. I wanted it to be that way on Kickstarter anyway, but I am definitely saying that now. It shows me everybody, unless you do it anonymous, and there were a couple of those, and I thank you for the anonymous donations. But thankfully, and that's another cool thing about PayPal, is that they give me the names and stuff for the people that help, so I can get a book to you as quick as possible. And I thank you so much. I am living my dreams because of you, and I really truly appreciate it. And I just cannot wait to talk about these characters more. I'm trying not to give spoilers because a lot of people just got the book, whether it's the ebook or the physical book. So I'm trying to keep a lot of stuff under wraps until more people are reading it, and then I can discuss it more. But I am really looking forward to it. And what's your dream, dear? I have a feeling it's gonna be musical. What's the dream? There we go. You're a mess. Y'all, I'm gonna wrap it up. I will see you on Friday night. Thank you so much, ladies, for sitting in. Thank you so much, honey. I adore you all. Your support means so much to me. I will see you in a few days. Well, on Friday. Take care of yourselves.